Hello, everybody, and welcome to Off Script. I'm Bruce Johnson. The music is my man, the late but great Chuck Brown. Is it really about the music, go-go, or is it about a lot of new people and a lot of longtime people trying to fit into the very same space? We're talking about the District of Columbia, and we're talking at one point that this was once called Chocolate City. It was an overwhelming African-American city with a unique culture and music of its own, until a fairly newcomer began to complain. Go-go could be heard coming from T-Mobile and Metro PCS store at 7th and Florida Avenue in the historic and heavily gentrified Shaw neighborhood. Store manager was ordered to stop playing the loud music. That sparked a massive protest on the corner late yesterday. Community activists, D.C. council members, and the mayor announced their support for go-go. And today, organizers were back on the corner. T-Mobile said the go-go music would resume, but issues surrounding the gentrification are still very much unresolved.
We're happy on this occasion that the community came together as one to address this issue. And I'm happy as a black man in Washington, D.C. to say that it wasn't just black people that came together, it was everybody that came together to say we got to do the right thing for the right reasons to get the right results. And that's the only thing that can make this city better. And we all come together and address the issues of gentrification.
We put together this concert yesterday. When D.C. residents feel threatened, they step up. And that's what happened here. And what people need to learn from this experience more than anything is that when you see a problem, you have to engage. Don't say there's no way to win. Don't say we don't trust politicians. Say, look, we believe that something's going on that's not right. We're going to engage and we're going to change it.
And it's about people, it's about culture, it's about preservation. But the D.C. native is just not a part of D.C.'s past. The D.C. native is a part of D.C.'s future. And we all got to work together to ensure that this city can't be its greatest self without the D.C. native, without go-go music, without mumbo sauce, without communities, right, that have helped establish what this city is. And so many people moved here. D.C. has always been a transient place, and people came here for the culture. And they've not only came here for the culture, but they've added to the culture. Let's continue, man, to put these ingredients in this melting pot and be the greatest city in America, man. D.C. or nothing, man.
Well, like all of that. Joining me tonight, Tendani Mpolabusi. He's a D.C.-based entrepreneur and artist. He also served as a D.C. Arts Commissioner. His documentary, People Past and Present, Hillsdale, focuses on the African-American legacy and the socioeconomic impact of gentrification and displacement. Tendani, thanks for joining me. What do you make of this? Go-go, 7th and Florida Avenue, too loud, turn it down, get rid of it. Nope, now it's back. What's up?
First of all, if you move into a building and there's a loud train running over top 24/7 or there's a bright flashing billboard, you know where you move. And this is a part of the culture, and you know this train is going to come past between these hours, and you know the billboard's going to be flashing. So respect and learn the culture, first of all. And this music is a staple to D.C. It's a beautiful thing. Respect the culture. Yeah.
Gentrification. It's a word that causes people to back up and take positions. In my newsroom right now, I got a bunch of young, white, talented journalists who want to live in the city, and they don't have a lot of money in a lot of instances, okay? They're doubling and tripling up, but they want to live in the city because that's the center of their universe. You know, their culture, their nightlife, you know, where they eat and play and that sort of thing. They don't think they're gentrifiers. You know, they say they haven't displaced anybody.
You know, there's a process that a lot of people are not keen to, and when you gentrify and you coming in because you are making it work financially for you to be to a place, you can afford the rent. What happens is people who have historically been there, they end up getting displaced because they can no longer afford to live there, or policies passed that just systematically count people out, get people out of the picture. I don't point the finger at those folk coming in gentrifying. I think it's more of a combination between city policy, authorities and agencies that help people not be displaced.
The other thing is a lot of the displacement took place before the newcomers got here, okay? Because a lot of this is new construction, you know what I mean? Brand new, expensive, new construction. Let's talk about the city. Does it make sense to think that the city can preserve enough affordable housing for all of the people who are renting right now to stay?
Is that realistic? Probably not. Is there potential to help some people who do need that assistance, yes, there's a lot of ways that you can competently deliver these programs, but it's still some disconnect between people getting that partnership and relationship that they need with the city to make those things happen.
Yeah, and a lot of it's connected to jobs too.
Exactly.
I mean, people, if they're making decent money and can afford to pay the rent, but if they're not, you know, how's it work?
Exactly.
Tell me about your documentary.
So I released a documentary in '09. It focused on the Berry Farm community, which is now, you won't see it the same if you go through there, it's demolished. And it looked at gentrification from a perspective of today, but that was the first place where African Americans could own land and buy houses in 1867. And it had a historic African American legacy that has been kind of old, never really had the light shined on it. And to see that from here to there, and then you got a city now which Berry Farm is demolished, and I don't see the city not only preserving that cultural history, but then the people are gone. It's a big eye-opener if you watch that documentary that goes from past to present, and it talks about gentrification.
Yeah, I think you can also make a case, those of us who study, you know, urban politics and policy and that sort of thing, this was by design, tearing down, displacing a lot of the residents of public housing, dispersing them in different parts of the city.
You'll learn in that documentary that city policy facilitates them. Like when you go to a place with it, there's all Latino people, there's all white people, there's all black people. That's city policy. And so you learn the design, and you learn the culture of design and the history of it.
City policy, and there's also these private developers, the real estate industry. You know, when people get here and you first hit town, they direct you to certain neighborhoods.
That's right.
You look this way, you need to go this way.
True.
Right.
Indeed.
Tindane, M. Polabusi.
Indeed.
Thanks for coming in.